In a landscape crowded with emptiness and pockmarked with sameness, the loop kicked ass and took names and addresses and phone numbers. Then later, after the Stones interview, the loop ran home for a quick shower, then called one of those phone numbers to set up a private interview. Yes, that was a metaphor for the loop getting laid. It got laid a lot. The loop screamed with dangerous hosts, dangerous comedy, and dangerous music. As it grew, it made money. And more money. And little by little, an institution became an investment. A melting pot of genius, a few pages, an annual report. What the number crunchers couldn't grasp is that with some things, putting profits before all else ultimately leads to lower profits. They couldn't see that in the first place, it wasn't cost or homogenizing. It wasn't research. It was talent. Brilliance. It was magic.
Don't look too closely, then I'll see right. Defy me once and I'll be out of sight. Say and think I'll be nice. I'd rather fight and be the one despised.
All right, kids, good morning. Welcome to another exciting episode of the original Red Pill Show. Today is Two-Wiener Tuesday. Oh, yes, it is. February 25th, 2020. This show is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please use at your own risk. Show is copyrighted by me, Freedom Revolution Network, and whatever. No part of it can be reused or rebroadcasted in any way, shape, or form. Without my written consent or their written consent, or you can just ask. I really don't care. Finally, this show is opinionated. the host, especially co-hosts, guests, which we have this morning. People that are naughty in the chat room are and always will be opinionated, thank God. Under no circumstances whatsoever should opinions be taken as advice. We are seeking professional advice. We strongly encourage you to hire a license if required person in his or her field, little Tommy. Hey, man. Oh, that's his name. Broadcasting live from the wonderful little town of Loveland, Colorado. I hear pecking in the background.
Oh, that would be me.
Are you chatting in the chat room?
Well, I am chatting in the chat room, and I'm also chatting with support because our website is down at the moment. It should be back up in just a few minutes, though.
Did you pay the bill?
Of course.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, all right. I didn't know Pamela was our moderator. I guess that's what
Yes.
wrench means.
Yeah.
Because I jumped in on Ron's show last night and she was moderating that too. So I need my coffee. And I threw my back out yesterday. So I'm gonna be grimacing. Whatever. What are you gonna do? So anyway, we have a guest today, right?
Yes. Yes.
Would
Miss Anita Dahl.
Doll?
Yes, her last name is Dahl.
Wow.
Her mother's name is actually Barb.
Interesting.
I swear.
Well, and it was your my video's buffering really bad.
Is it?
It just locked up. Yeah.
It looks okay on YouTube.
Yeah, but it's delayed, so.
Oh, well, yeah, there is that.
When are computers gonna work?
Never.
Yeah, it's is it froze up?
Doesn't seem to be.
And I'll minimize it, but then I can't see the chat room. I don't want to. All right, so our guest, you want to give a little this is your friend, you brought her up. And as why you thought she would be a good guest to have.
Well, she is an entrepreneur, long time. She is actually my business partner in Innovative Online Solution, though she doesn't do much anymore. And she owns her own farmers insurance agency. And so she is coming on to talk about finances, and now they're saying it's buffering.
Yeah, I see that.
It's not buffering for me. How weird.
I don't know.
But yeah, she's going to come on and talk about finances and preparing for your future and entrepreneurship. Pretty much anything we want to talk about business-wise.
Cool.
Yeah.
The doll.
Yeah.
DAHL or
no, DOLL.
Oh, doll, that kind of doll. Doll.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
But yeah, she should be calling in here in just a few minutes.
Okay. So now our Zoom isn't going to flip back and forth. Is the phone going to work? I mean, what's wrong?
It should. It should.
Well, yeah, because we're talking, so it should.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll call in on the new number and okay. Okay, so I just got a message from support that the site will be back up soon.
Soon?
Yes, the website. There were some bad files from an old build that were in there, and the website scan caught them and said, you can't have these on here. So we're shutting your entire account down.
House.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
No biggie. I removed the files and they'll rescan and it'll be back up in a few. Whenever, as soon as they rescan.
All right, that's cool. All right, yeah, I'm grimacing in pain, man. There's nothing worse than
Aw.
a guy having back pain, which is about maybe a 1 out of 10 scale for women giving childbirth because we're big baby.
Hey, back pain is no joke, dude.
No, it sucks. It's yeah, it's I don't know what the hell I did though, but my back's prone to going out because I heard it way back when I was 27. So if I do anything just slightly weird, it's like, oh, it's like whatever. So
Yeah, I get it.
what's she talking about? Well, this thing keeps buffering, so can you keep an eye on the chat room? Because I just don't want to
Yeah,
keep looking at my face with a big fucking circle. Is it buffering on your end?
no,
Really?
yeah,
I read what?
no, it's, and I get that a lot too on Ron's show. People will say he's buffering and it looks fine to me. So,
All right, Pamela, reload your browser because I just did that for YouTube and now it's back. And
oh,
they said that last night too. I saw it
okay.
on the show.
So it's something weird with YouTube that just doesn't seem to affect me. Okay, works for me.
Okay. Well, this should be interesting. I don't know. I want to see how much time she's got and everything like that, and just make her feel comfortable, and then let her go. So,
Oh yeah, once Anita gets talking, she'll take over. She's awesome.
yeah, it's all
She and I used to do our show about business together back in the day.
really
Yeah, she's the one who actually got me live online for a radio show. She's the first ever to do it. And she totally trapped me because she knows that if I make a commitment, that I will do it come hell or high water.
yeah.
And so she called me up one morning and said, "Hey, you want to be a guest on my show? I need a guest." "Sure, when?" "In 15 minutes."
Ooh,
Yeah, she totally nailed me.
he didn't give you time to even think about it. That's pretty smart, actually.
Well, no, yeah, she already knew me.
Yeah,
So she knew how I would be. And yeah, so she totally trapped me.
she's an entrepreneur.
Oh yes,
Sounds like it to me.
very much so.
Hmm. Well,
She and I actually met with she was the COO, I was the webmaster for online operations for Unite Women. And we will actually be in the history books.
really?
Yes. UniteWomen.org was the first grassroots organization to grow completely on social media.
Well, that's awesome.
And they're now a recognized organization.
Wow. Well, that's something to be proud of for sure.
Oh, heck yeah. My name won't be mentioned much because I always stayed in the background, but
It doesn't matter. You were part of it, and that's all you need to know. So,
oh yeah. Yeah, she and I are what got them where they were to be able to grow. And that's how our show was born.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully she has more stories like that, or both of you do. So that'd be cool.
Oh, we got lots of stories.
I'm not. What's that?
I said we got lots of stories.
Well, I'm not one of those ding dong. Who's that?
That would be Anita, most likely.
Yeah, I don't see her calling in me. She will.
Uh,
Wait a minute. I don't have Zoom. Wait, I need Zoom open, don't
I see her, but she is muted. Hang on.
I? Dun, dun, dun,
Hang on. Let's unmute Anita.
I see her.
She needs to be unmuted.
Unmute.
It's
Hello.
nice to be seen.
Is there an
Hello,
Anita
am I
there?
heard but not seen? Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Good morning.
I'm gonna. Good morning. I'm gonna have to buckle my seatbelt, or I'm gonna be telling on myself.
You're driving hands free and following the law and all that.
Yes, Yes, I am, but I have a very bad habit because of my birthdays. I do not ever remember to use my seatbelt, and I constantly just hear that sound. I think of it as my car is serenading me.
Well, we have that.
I figure the good die young. I'll be cooking at everybody's funeral.
Wow. I like her already.
Oh, you'll love her. You'll love her. She is my sister from another mister.
They
Awesome.
either love me or they hate me, one way or the other.
Oh, join the club. Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they never forget me.
That's true. All right. So did Melissa? It's early, and I want to thank you for this. It takes us a while to get out of first gear on this show. Sometimes the whole show.
I can relate.
Yeah. So I thank you for coming on. Did Melissa warn you about anything, or as far as?
Nah, she just said you're gonna love it.
Okay. All right. So this is how I handle my interviews. Again, thank you for coming on in your time. I have rules in my interview, just like anybody else, and those rules are there isn't any.
Oops.
So no, not oops. So everything's wide open. It's up to your discretion. I don't steer people into what I want to talk about or lead them into something. I let them say whatever they want. So feel free to say whatever you have to say. There's no boundaries unless there's the ones that you put up, which are respectable. Some people like talking about everything. Some like to keep it to specific things. It doesn't really matter to me. So.
Fair enough.
So with that said, could you give us a little introduction on who you are and some qualifications and things of that nature?
Oh, Lordy. My name is Stahl. I am a 57-year-old female who was born and raised in the middle of nowhere in Ohio, West Central Ohio. It's a great place. I was fortunate enough to be born in the early 60s and loved growing up out here where at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you couldn't sleep or you wanted to think things through, you just got up, went out the back screen door and walked through a field and sat on a log in the woods and processed your thoughts. It was wonderful. My personality is a bit big for a place where most people who live here love the same thing every day, and they like the same and sameness and conformity. I don't really fit a lot of that. So, and being female, I was cursed being not born in 1962 and being female here was kind of a rough row to hoe. Let's see, went to high school, college, scholarships to grad school, moved away the minute I graduated from high school, went to college, graduated cum laude from Akron University, not really one to be all that, go Zips, I think their name is. Worked 2 jobs to go through it because I worked my way through school. Went to graduate school on a Wolcott Fellowship. My master's degree was in national security policy with an emphasis on the Middle East and Africa and the Soviet influence on the oil industry.
Oh, boy.
That's told you you'd like her.
The Soviet Union, I was married to a gentleman from the Greek islands, and that was why I did not get that position in the world, because being married to him, the Wolcott Fellowship was from, I think it was the Masons here in Shelby County, but they never met anybody who was foreign born. So when it came time for the final vote, now mind you, I'm in Washington, D.C., working 2 jobs, waiting for the fellowship to come through. I already took a loan, that was scary, to pay for my classes, and they were going to reimburse me, kiss and promise in the dark. And some bonehead who'd never been out of county said, wait a minute, isn't she married to a foreigner? Well, foreigners' wives can't get jobs for the U.S. government, can they? Well, that jackass caused me to get blackballed, and there I sat with, back then, $6,000 in student loans And I had accepted going to George Washington University on that scholarship to do my master's in national security policy and international relations. So that was a humdinger. I went out and got another job and quit after about a semester and said, screw this, I'm sick of being poor. My husband got hit in a car accident when I was pregnant about my oldest son. We ended up moving back to Ohio. They interviewed him because he's a man, a great guy of all things, to be a State Farm insurance agent because they were trying to fill a spot. He didn't get the job. They wanted me instead. So I filled another spot, and I remember sitting there hearing that, God, I love that man to this day, that general manager. He's picked up the phone and says, I got a female with an ethnic surname. We got to stick her in to keep us out of court. I shit you not. And I thought, you know what? I don't give a damn what you're giving me a chance for. Give me a chance. Let me show you what I can do. And I took that scratch agency in Huber Heights, Ohio, and turned it into an award-winning agency. And there were only 2 women insurance agents at the time. This would be 1986, 1987. And then I was a boring mom. My husband, who loved to hit me a lot and fractured my skull, but didn't know, all they did is not give him an award. Eventually, I left him because I got tired of being beat up. He had talked me into selling my agency. He took the money and ran, the usual gig. I got remarried to a wonderful man, ended up with a total of 3 children, all boys, who I raised. I'm quite proud of. The youngest is an Eagle Scout. All are productive members of society on this side of the dirt, and none of them incarcerated. So I'd say I'm doing damn good. At age 55, lost the job. I'd been in insurance or financial services or banking ever since that fateful time with State Farm. Ended up not what I had signed up for, but an empty nester in South Carolina, and thought, screw it, I'm going home. I remember the day Mel said, Nita, just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and go for it, girlfriend. I was driving in the car. Remember that, Mel? I pulled off and sitting in the graveyard.
Yes, I do.
How funny that day was. I took my, what was I then, 55, 56-year-old self, took a deep breath, thought, screw it, I'm going to remake myself, and I'm now a full-time scratch agent, just finished 6 months, started a farmer's insurance agency in a county of 45,000 people, and we're now award-winning. So that's kind of it. I'm spoken out. I've been COO of UniteWomen.org.
Which is where we met.
To be a wife. I was a great wife while a wife. I'm a great partner. I love being a mommy and now a grandmommy. I love to cook. I love to garden. And if somebody tells me to sit down and shut up, I'll cut their tongue out.
Wow.
So there you go. I'm a mixed bag. Who's highly educated and proud of it in a place where if you're a smart woman, you mind your P's and Q's, you let the men win, and you shut up and sit down. I'm looking at running for county commissioner, actually.
Wow.
So there you go. That's me. Pick a subject.
And in between UniteWomen.org and now, she and I also started Innovative Online Solution. And she
Blueprint Academy.
Yep, and Blueprint Academy. And she used to teach social media.
Yep. They'd pay me $1,200 a pop back in, what year was that when I wrote the book? 2005, 2006, something when it was new.
Something like that, yeah.
So to go to annual conventions and do the breakout session on what is this thing called social media, or, you know, that type of conversation.
So you wrote a book too?
Yes.
Yeah, but it wasn't that great. It was more like what do you call it? It was more like a workbook to, if you had a small business, it's called the Blueprint, the Twitter Blueprint. And it was a workbook for small businesses that couldn't afford, you know, back then $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for somebody to show them how to get on Twitter, how to grow, what the hell is Twitter, what are these applications, how am I going to go do my business and computer all day long, that type of thing.
So is it kind of like a social media for dummies type of book?
Yes, it's real small, and it was meant to be laid out next to your laptop and follow the pictures.
So a handbook kind of thing.
Yeah. It was mainly a primer, they would call it. And here's what Twitter is from a non-computer person, because as Mel will tell you, I keep saying, honey, if you keep using the lingo of your industry, you're never going to communicate with John Q. Public. Therefore, there's a difference. I learned many years ago between masturbation and seduction. Masturbation is just doing something to make yourself feel better. Seduction is convincing someone to come along with you on the journey.
Interesting.
So that's kind of that.
Well, a lot of people don't know what Twitter is, so can you explain it?
Yeah. Back in the day when you're going to love this one, when there was a skinny black guy who was, I don't even know what he did, out in Chicago and decided one time, let's see what this thing is and see if we can use this new thing to raise some money, and then ended up becoming the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. We now know him or vilify him or hate him or whatever as for the wonderful black man who dared to sit in the White House for a minute and not be cleaning it, Barack Obama. Well, at the time he won that nomination, I was part of a group having nothing to do with politics, a bunch of business people. And when this went, and these people have a totally different perspective than I do on politics, but they asked me to be one of 5 people to do a brain trust of what the hell this social media is. And I drew the short straw, and I got Twitter. And I'm like, oh, shit. Well, I got 3 grown kids, all 6 years apart, so I thought, let me just call my kids. So I called my kids and said, what's Twitter? My intellectual oldest child said it's what self-absorbed narcissists use to tell the world what they ate for lunch.
Kind of how you feel about social media, Tim.
Well, now here's the beautiful thing. And, oh, by the way, that child of mine has now, since that time, remember, it's been a long time ago, he has no social media accounts and has sworn off of it.
Same here.
And is quite successful as a financial advisor, quite frankly.
Wow.
I know. I'm not. I use it for the tool it is. All tools that can be, or for good, we get to choose. And it's the 6 inches between your ears that make you decide which way you're going to do it. You either do it by default and get led down the primrose path, or you figure out what it is, use it for the best good you can, move forward, and enjoy the benefits.
It doesn't seem like it's being used for that, though, does it?
Oh, well, it depends. If you are over age 40 and like to tell yourself that you're smarter than the rest of the world and don't try to fiddle with new things that come your way, and you get on and you're a lazy user, a lazy consumer, right? I mean, I like to drink beer. Let me give you this example. And if I didn't know that if I drink beer 24/7, 7 days a week, I would become an alcoholic and it would be bad for my health. So therefore, I restricted just a couple, okay? But if I didn't know that and I just went hell-bound for election and go at it, then I'm going to be a sloppy, lazy, stupid consumer. And not to offend anyone, but I think 99.999% of American consumers of social media over the age of 40 are lazy, sloppy, stupid, and now dupes of the Russians. So, there you go.
I'm glad I'm off.
Yeah, it's social media is something that could unite and it could divide. It helped bring about freedom in a lot of countries back in the, especially Egypt and the Middle East, when they were trying to get out from under a lot of very bad regimes.
Really?
And, the spring, let me think what it was. My goodness, I mean, it must be developing early as Alzheimer's. But whatever spring started, we're talking before 2008. It can be used for a lot. The problem is it also, and Mel and I, we know how to use a black hat and we know how to use a white hat, don't we, Melissa?
Oh yeah.
Oh, by the way, I forgot. Am I allowed to call you Mel, or am I supposed to call you Melissa?
Oh no, everybody still calls me Mel. I
Okay, phew.
never gave that up. I just got used to it.
I didn't know if we were being all formal. You know, Melissa and I have never met.
No,
we
we
have
haven't.
never been in the same state at the same time.
It's crazy.
But we've been business partners since 2012.
Yep. She's got all those. If she wanted to, she could take me down in a minute.
Uh-oh.
But instead, it's who I call if I need bail money.
Yeah, that's great. Huh. So real quick, how did you say Egypt? What did they do to improve their country by using social media?
Twitter at the time, because in a lot of, I don't know if you've traveled a lot abroad. Unfortunately, I have. Glad I don't have to do it anymore. Places like Egypt and Israel, a lot of countries that back in those days were emerging. Now it's arguable that they've way surpassed us. But people didn't have ways of communicating because they had state-run TVs. Traditional broadcasting methods were state-run, as well as the newspapers. If you disagreed with them, the version in their country of William Barr would come and start funky campaigns against you, or they would come and visit you in the middle of the night, put a sack over your head, you disappeared. So the way that people were communicating without the powers that be knowing it, it's the Freedom Spring. That's it. Mel, can you Google it? I don't remember what year it was. They were able to hop onto Twitter because it was, especially then, so short, so few characters, and the older, more established world didn't know how to use it. So the students, the kids, as most revolutions, and I use that term in the best possible connotation, a good revolution, they would communicate through Twitter where they were, what had happened, and when the government would try to take down a certain feature of the news and suppress information, the kids and the other people they were connected to could all meet in a certain area and have protests and, have other people there so it would get out to the outside world. Then the government got smart, their governments got smart and started taking down the internet to their countries. And that kind of got rid of it. But it was around the time, I think did it predate the Occupy movement?
It was 2011. And I actually, if anybody wants to search for it and learn more about it, I just did a search for Egypt Twitter revolution and brought up all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and it spread. Other countries started using it too throughout northern parts of Africa. What a lot of Americans don't realize is that our phone systems, the type of phone language, if you will, the thing that makes our phone talk to the satellites and do its thing, I think if we call that a language, the rest of the world used at the time, I don't know if we've caught up or not, I've kind of been out of that, they used a different kind, like a different language, if you will. And we're way behind the 8 ball. I mean, we're way out of date, and I don't know if we'll ever catch up. But in little countries that we love to stick our nose in the air and think we're so superior to them, they have been on using cellular technology for decades prior to us even getting, normal old Android cell phones. It's one of those few. I remember I was going abroad once, and I'd probably been traveling abroad for 10 years by then, every year. And my son was invited to go on this school trip where they were going to hit like 5 main parts of Europe. And this teacher was there, and she was telling all these parents whose children have never left the county. And so we went listening, and I'm trying to bite my tongue, be the little northerner in a southern area, and keep my mouth shut. And she finds till I couldn't take anymore, because they were like, now are the children going to be safe? And how impoverished are these places? and they were just yakety their continued bullshit until I finally said, okay, I can't do this anymore. How many of y'all ever left the state? No, and they're saying, how many of you ever left the country? None. I said, I've been there 15 times. Let me help you with this. There are things called internet cafes. Most people there are more technologically advanced than we are. And oh, by the way, it's not poverty there. It's when they see an ancient building, they don't see the need to bulldoze it and put up an aluminum structure. So have some respect. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's poor, ignorant, stupid, or down, or worse than you. Let's not be ugly Americans. Let's teach our children to respect things that they don't understand. And I said, okay, now I'll be quiet. And I sat the rest of the time with my mouth shut. Didn't make a lot of friends then, but I was sick and tired of their shit.
Oh, boy. You should. Are you sure you're not from Chicago?
No, I wouldn't. I couldn't live in a city. I tried it.
Yeah.
I not enough grass, not enough trees. I can't plant my garden. I can't have my critters. I can't run around underwear optional. You know.
Yeah.
I'm just an educated hippie. That's all. And frankly, I feel that you don't help anyone when you let them wallow in their ignorance and then spew it to others. All they do is spread more ignorance, like a disease. And then they pat themselves in the back with artificial air. We don't help ourselves by playing the lie game or the TV smoke and mirrors game.
So are you saying that there is a good thing with social media and it's actually liberated countries around the world?
Yes, it helps. It can help. What the problem is when we refuse to educate ourselves. There are those things out there, and Melissa and I know how they operate, don't we, Melissa? It's
Oh,
that
yeah.
They've got unlimited money to put a whole bunch of people called trolls in a 15-story building, give it a name, fund it, and give them all unlimited laptops and cell phones and tell them to have at it. They create a fake persona. It's real easy. Melissa taught me. You create a fake persona. You get in and make it, except they're not very good at it. You make it look like it's real of the place you're trying to get to. You make sure to have photographs and words, keywords popped in if you know your SEO, which Melissa's amazing with SEO, by the way. And you get it all going and age it out like a good wine for a couple of weeks, and then you blast it. And you start first use innocuous things. Cute little videos of puppy dogs and kitty cats, and get those to go viral. Get people to think you're the neighbor next door that they've never met in another town, but a harmless, patriotic American. And then you slowly start dripping in the poison, just like arsenic. And you give a little misinformation there, a little spin here, and they keep doing it until they've got you believing that the day is night and the night is day, and you end up electing the greatest pig and pussy grabber to ever enter our world and call him hero. Just saying. I love the United States Constitution in this country, and I despise the old Soviet Union and those people with nuclear weapons that are so happy to point them at us and would love to get our code.
So
Do you realize kids under 40 don't know what the Soviet Union was unless they were good at history?
They don't even know what a landline phone is. So yeah, that does not surprise me.
I would be less afraid of them not knowing a landline phone than them knowing that the greatest nuclear arsenal is pointed right at us, and the man at the helm who has recently changed the organizational structure of his government was elected and then became the newest czar, and has the codes and has lived his life part of the then whatever the KGB was at the time. And his whole goal was to take us down, and now he loves to smile and shake hands because he's had, I don't know, a personality transplant, a lobotomy, or else he's a con man. So that last part is truly what scares me. And with my master's degree studies, let me tell you, it scares me. And so far, I've called it. And unfortunately, I've called the game. I've called it. Ask Melissa. I have not missed a call on what was going to happen in the last 3 years. And I've never wished more in my life that I had been wrong. I've never in my life have I wished I was more wrong. But unfortunately, I haven't been. I'm still hoping.
Do you think there's still a Cold War going on, but more or less a art of war or game of chess?
There's no Cold War going on. Their dupe is in the White House. What's to be cold about it? A man who's now sitting in jail, they're getting ready to retry and say he didn't have a fair trial, used to work for a foreign power, which was one of the old Soviet puppets. And his job was to be the campaign advisor to try to get a pro-Putin government in. He lost, came over here and volunteered to work for the current administration's election campaign. Nobody seems to find that as weird. My head about blew off my shoulders back then, because I know who these guys are. And it was like, wake up. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, we're busy watching Fox and hating science and hating people who are educated and hating people who, I don't know, either have more. I haven't quite figured it out. I think it's I haven't figured the psychology of it out. But whatever it is, some because they just didn't know any better. Some really just believe that the Bachelor is a real show and that reality TV is real and they live with the television on 24/7. I haven't figured it out. But no, there's no Cold War. If there wasn't, why would Vladimir Putin still have his nuclear weapons? Why would 11,000 soldiers in the Ukraine have been killed because their funding was held up? Why are these real wars still happening? Real people are really dying, and there's American blood being spilled. And I love Americans. I love the rest of the world too, but I've got a grandson and 3 sons, and I feel that their blood is so precious. If it's got to be spilled to defend this country, as my ancestors' blood has been spilled, then by God, it needs to really be defending it, not keeping a glorified television actor faking his thing to try to take down the country and hand it to the Russians because he wants to build a golden tower in Moscow. History's history. If you look at the facts, it's amazing. Why would no one else? Anytime you want, do you have any kids? If anybody has kids and you got a 2 or 3-year-old, you tell them, don't you get in that cookie jar, and you put it on the kitchen table, and you're outside mowing the grass. You come in to get a drink of water, and as soon as that screen door opens, you hear that cookie jar shoved right back in the place, and the little one hides his hands behind his back and wipes off the cookie crumbs real quick. And you say, were you in that cookie jar? No. Let me see your hands. Nope. Now, why do they not want you to see their hands? Because they got something to hide. If there ain't nothing to hide, they show you their hands. Show me your taxes. Let me see the taxes. How about eliminating NDAs? Let's see it. If it's a witch hunt, you know what? I know some people who practice Wiccan, and they wouldn't let him in.
I know a lot of people who got offended by that.
Well, they should be. I mean, calling him a dog is to be cruel to dogs. It's real simple. If you know anything about psychology, it is simply a sociopathic narcissist who happened to be born with a silver spoon. Look at the words of his mother. His sister was the smart one. That's why he's got the, what is it where he's afraid? I'm not a baby. You think I'm a baby? I'm not stupid. They're stupid. He's got that whole ego thing going on because his sister was the smart one. She became a federal judge. Who? Check her out. She resigned right before they came to her with the book that was written and said, oh, by the way, were you involved in this scam with your dad? Should we investigate, or are you going to quietly leave? Nope. I think I'm going to retire. I'm done. So she quietly gave up her lifetime appointment as a federal judge in order to avoid the scandal of all the junk being exposed. So, you can just keep coming with them, and none of that is conspiracy theory. I don't even know how it can be controversial because you can pull it up and right there look at the documents. But whatever. Sometimes the truth ain't convenient. Yep. So, no, I don't think I do. There's no Cold War anymore because we don't have it. But if you don't believe that propaganda, psychological warfare can divide a country, look at Brexit. Why would another country be so concerned about controlling the media and the perception of its citizens? It's called gaslighting.
Yeah.
Propaganda, misinformation, call what you want. It exists. It always has.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
It's kind of like when your spouse goes, honey, I love this new dress I bought, but does it make my butt look big? Only a stupid man would say yes. The best answer, in case you don't know, is, honey, you look beautiful. Come on. I love you however you are. Let's go. And then you leave. And so, is that misinformation? Well, it might be, but, it's in your own best interest.
Well, without getting too much into politics, I've talked to people about this before on this show, in the situation and status of the country, regardless of whose fault it is or whatever. But the best way I could explain it, and I think you've been through this, and so has Melissa and people that have, God forbid, is that this country's going through a divorce.
Oh, yeah.
With all this divide and conquer and all this psychological warfare and all that, and all the dysfunctionality that's coming out, for people to understand what's really going on, in my opinion and observation, I really truly think that's what's going on right now. Again, without getting into politics and blaming anybody. And when you're in
blaming doesn't solve anything, but if you have a cancer, you need to remove the tumor.
No, but now you're talking physical. I'm talking psychological. The psychological attitude of people in this country, regardless of party affiliation, is very dysfunctional.
We've got to get back to being able to say, this policy, for example, I'm trying to find one, healthcare problems. Oh, no, let's do a better one, gun control or gun reform or mass shootings. The problem is the average person, I believe, does not understand the basic concept of branding or marketing, where you take a phrase and by seeing cost cutter, I don't know if you guys have Kroger's where you live, Kroger's grocery store.
What kind?
But their logo is a scissors. They're scissors, and it says cost cutter. Okay. Well, my then 1-year-old, we're stuck in traffic, and there's a big Kroger semi-truck, and all he can see from his little car seat in the back is the scissors. Okay. He can't read yet, and he goes, Kroger, Mommy, Kroger. Well, that's exactly what happens to us as human beings with neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro-linguistic programming and branding is real, and it's not that complicated. And so if we can understand that I may be having an emotional reaction to this phrase and not really looking at it clearly, but this person sitting next to me is a fellow countryman who we might differ in the way we want to get to the end game, but we have the same end game: protecting our country, growing healthy, well-adjusted children, having food on our tables, in our fields, on our tables, in our barns, wherever, and everybody's just getting along. But that doesn't mean we all have to walk to the same Nazi goose step with the same gray clothes, shaking a little book going Little Red Cookbook or the Little Red Book. I mean, the difference, that's what makes America great. And I was offended with that America great again. I don't get it. Unless you were a white male, when you were a woman whose husband could beat you all he wanted and you better just shut up and get in the kitchen. I was offended. I think this country's always been great, and we're getting greater. It's imperfect, like humans. We're a mixture of people from other places, and the food is best here than anywhere else. Why? Because we have Thai food. We have Japanese food. We have Mexican food. We have Brazilian food. We have Polish food. Hell, we have Russian food. We have all sorts of food because people who came to this country wanted a place to live, raise their children in peace and prosperity, and just get ahead from the sweat on their brow. Instead, we have let someone hijack that concept and try to turn them into the worst of ourselves, not the best of ourselves.
You know,
And
what,
I
what
don't
you
know
said
why or
about,
when, and I don't got to get back to it. And I don't think we're divorced, honestly. I think we've been hoodwinked for a minute. Someone's pulled the wool over our eyes, and it's time for us to take the wool off.
you know, what you
Start
said
coming
about
together.
marketing. That's what
all
politics is marketing.
Well, hell yeah. Yeah, because how else can you explain a concept to millions of people at one time? You can't go speak to every single American. It's not possible. And on a television show, you can't afford it unless you're, who's that guy? Bloomberg. You
Yep.
can't afford it. So you've got to be able to find a way to break it down. There's a great psychological marketing book. Oh, shoot. Mel, we did a show on it.
We did a show on
predated,
lots of books.
It's about neurolinguistic programming. The fact that we tend to want to run in I don't want to say packs, but packs, little tribes. I don't like the word tribes.
I do.
It's negative connotation. Herds. It's a herd mentality. Follow the herd, right? So horses are nice. That's a nice image. But that's still, when we have a herd mentality by instinct, cavemen, how they came together, how society started, all of that stuff. And it's evolving. And right now, I agree with you. We're at a crossroads. I don't like to see it as a divorce, because in a divorce, both sides permanently hate each other and it's divided. And I believe that the best way to take over a country is to divide it. There's no better truth than united we stand, divided we fall. It doesn't mean if you're united, you always agree. But sometimes we have to disagree. And since I've moved back home, I refuse to lie. I refuse to not be who I am, but I also refuse to be a hater. My next door neighbor and I might disagree on every single thing, but I guarantee if they lose their power and they need help, I'll be there right next to them.
That's
what we have to do.
That's unconditional. That's the way it should be.
Yep.
Yeah. In small town USA, it's so cute because I see these, I call them Trumpians. I see these Trumpians where they drank the Kool-Aid and, they've got bumper stickers and they hate this and they hate that and they hate the other thing. And then when I ask them, but what about that person over there? They came from Mexico. That's a good, hardworking family. And they're not them. They're not them. I'm like, well, then where are the them? The us versus them. And it's so cute because they walk around watching Fox, which I believe needs to be seen as a political entity. But they watch it. And it around here, I got a hell of an education. I remember telling Melissa my first month up here that the only thing they watch around here is Fox News, because Fox or a Fox affiliate bought up most of the sports programming up here in the Rust Belt. So if you listen to the radio, because you got a long way to drive, it's real far from place to place out here with nothing but cornfields or bean fields. So they listen to the radio in the car, and they're listening to their favorite sports team. They get these little snippets from Fox, and they spew lies. The witch hunt continues. Poor president, blah, 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 blah. And that split second. So what are they doing? The left and right side of the brain, they're not really paying that much attention because they don't really care that much, but it's going in their head. Drip, 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 drip. Until eventually, when they hear that, oh, yeah, it's horrible. Well, why do you think that? Well, I don't know, but it's just horrible. Huh. Yeah. The herd mentality, repetition, spaced repetition, like commercial. They show the same commercial over and over and over and over and over and over again. Remember that, Mel? 7 things. Spaced repetition, herd mentality. Oh, and hurry. If you act in the next 5 seconds,
Urgency.
You get double.
Urgency.
Yes, urgency. Urgency, scarcity, herd mentality. Oh, I can't believe I remember after all these years. There's a bunch of article about the science of influence. That's the name of the article. It was published in Psychology Today. I cannot remember his name. It's a real short 7-page little thing, but if you read that little article and the scientific stuff that they had done with human beings and how they make decisions, it's like what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg had read the article and went, "Oh, I believe it was just serendipity," but it's like Zucker knew what he was doing and decided, because it's got the like button, it's got the social media, it's got the like button, it's got the herd mentality, it's got scarcity because the news feed moves all the time, and on and on and on. So yeah, I highly, highly recommend you look up the science of influence. It's a very short, it might be outdated, but our brains haven't really changed all that much in the last 100,000 years.
Psychology is still pretty much the same when it comes to marketing and influence.
And just like digestion and our respiratory system and some changes, but not much. We're still humans. We still have the same 9-month gestational period when you're making a baby. Some things stay the same. But that article is very influential, and it might help you if more people were educated in basic human psychology, basic how to get along, what we used to call civics and citizenship. If those things were rewarded, yeah, I did. I got 100 in mine in high school. It would be a much better thing, and if we quit doing things like rewarding how hard you can beat up somebody, and who was it said that religion is the opiate of the masses? I believe instead it's been replaced. Instead of religion, now it's sports, the sports and entertainment world on that 24-hour television, that idiot box that never turns off. That's the sad part. And until we get enough people who can start unifying, truly unifying, not standing in a pulpit and screaming profanities where the Boy Scouts of America have to apologize to the parents because you're spewing things that should not be talked about to 12-year-old, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. That should have been our first hint. The science of influence. It's a wonderful article. You'll thoroughly enjoy it.
I think if people learn more about like marketing itself, and even just the basics of marketing, the basic tenets of marketing, the decisions we make. Yeah. The things that we see and we watch and we hear would affect us a whole lot differently.
And if everyone would spend 10 minutes a day, just 10 minutes, with some self-reflection. Why is it I think the way I'm thinking? Why is it I'm having these feelings? Why am I getting angry when someone says this? What is it something I can do differently to improve my day? Let me take and count some blessings. What are some things I'm really happy about? What are things that make me smile? And change our focus. That will improve each individual's life. And as each individual's life improves, and so does the life of the greater good. That whole drop in the little drop in the pond that makes the ripple sounds corny as hell, but you know what? So is the basics of love and the feeling of your heart melting when you see a newborn baby. Some of those old corny things still are just as real, if not more real, than all of the fancy other stuff. And science is good. Science is not bad. Science is good. That's another one we got to get back to. Good Lord. Uneducated people love cutting down science. It's like, you don't not like science. You're just embarrassed you couldn't understand the class.
So we were actually supposed to talk about like financial stuff and all that stuff you do now.
Oh, yes, what I do insurance. I help people protect the things that they love.
Speaking of things you love.
And I find that the majority of people have no clue. they come in because it's been legislated that they have to have car insurance. They don't understand what it is. They don't understand why they have to have it until disaster strikes, and then it's like locking the barn door after the cow got out. So, yep, now I'm helping educate people and use the same techniques on how we make decisions to help them understand and figure out what they love and how they want to protect it, how to set budgets, how to put money away for when they retire, and how it's all connected.
And I know
it's not as complicated, as hard as people want you to think it is. That's the big thing.
I know you're working on preparing for your future, Tim.
Yeah. At age 57, I had turned around, and because of the way those laws and rules are, ended up with all of my money I'd put aside for retirement was gone.
She went through a
So
lot
I looked
of
around.
similar stuff to you, different situations, but same kind of destruction.
Financial.
Yeah, I got hit hard. So I looked around and thought, what am I going to do? I could cry and complain and whine, and I did take my time doing that. I bitched and moaned and cried a lot of tears. Bent Melissa's ear more than 100 times until it was more of, okay, now that I'm done crying, time for me to dry my eyes. How can I take this, turn it into something that will, while helping, because I do believe if you help enough people get what they need, want, then all of yours will be taken care of too. And so I jumped into this full bore. Now, it's not my first time I've ever started a scratch agency, so I kind of knew what I was doing, but I really underestimated how much energy it would take. So I'm sleeping very well now at night. And marketing has changed so much more. My budget has to go for radio, TV, newspaper, and online presence. That's why with social media, I have no choice. It still is the cheapest way to get your message out, by ill or by good. So I have to play with the devil I know.
Yeah, that's what Melissa was saying too.
Yeah, there's several tools that can make it easier for small businesses, especially if your business is not something on a TV or on a computer. You know, if your business is helping people like Melissa does on the computer, it's not such a hard thing. But if your business is, I don't know, testing water purity, you know, if you're doing that, or you're a scientist, or your job is something other than being in front of a screen, then it's really hard to spend the time to get the message out effectively to grow your business so you can afford to pay your bills. So knowing how to do that quick, fast, and easy, and doing it, you know, responsibly and the right way without any destruction and without being not authentic, it can be done. It's a bit challenging.
That was something we always used to teach. Yeah, that's something we always used to teach very heavily, is be authentically you. Yeah.
People's bullshit detectors are so finely tuned nowadays, they can spot it a mile away. And that sometimes can be good or bad, because some people buy into that all marketing and advertising has to be bad and evil and lie and whatever, even though their intent may not be to harm, and because they're doing it the wrong way, it comes off wrong. I'll tell you one thing, screwing up on social media, whew, you screw up. Yeah, real quick. I had one guy who didn't like my opinion on, I forget what social media platform, on something personally. So he hopped off of that and hopped onto the Google page for my business. And bastard, he put on there that, let me think, he gave me a 1-star review. Now, mind you, he's in Colorado. I'm in Ohio. So it's physically, I don't have a license in Colorado to practice. So therefore, what he said could never happen. And he said I threatened and trolled him due to differences, was his exact quote. and gave me a 1. Well, I'm so new, only 5 people in my little county had even less than that, had ever given me a review on Google. So his 1 negative dropped me down to like a 3 or something. And it was a hard hit. And because it was new, anybody going there to see what this new office is to check me out beforehand would have gotten a totally different opinion of the business and the team that I'm putting together. So, the trolling is real.
Yeah, and
it does
I mean,
have a quieting effect.
I've had various people that I ticked off on social media, and then they'd go through because I have all the business pages listed, and went through and did bad reviews on like every page that I managed.
Yep, only took us 48 hours to get that cleaned up, was it, Melissa?
It's not too long.
Yeah. But it's real, and it does have a chilling effect. For people that don't think that kind of a threat is real, go through it once.
Yeah, when you're doing business, you got to be
son,
really careful about what you do in the public eye now.
Mm-hmm. More so than ever, my middle son called me and said, am I going to have to go to jail and everything I've worked hard to build for my future family? Because he's not married yet. I think he's going to be popping the question soon. But he said, am I going to have to come up there and beat the hell out of or kill somebody who's hurt my mother or killed you? Because they're going to shoot you soon, Mom. Where you're at, people shoot you for thinking differently than they do. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, you don't ever give political opinions at all over any circumstance or let people know how you vote or what you think on social media. That's the fastest way to be destroyed.
Yeah.
And truth comes from the mouth of babes. He was right.
And it's really sad that in this day and age that, that's the case.
Well, I think that goes back to what we said earlier about the country is divided and it's getting so vitriol that we need to check ourselves. And somebody's got to start reaching across the aisle.
And that's one of the main reasons that's one of the main reasons why we started this network, was to start bringing people from all sides together to have reasonable conversations.
Yep. It's cross-generational, I'm seeing too. Like my father, we got into a political debate, and I have no doubt that my father's a man who loves his country. He raised me and helped raise my kids. So, but I said, Dad, if I'm right on what I see, and I educated myself many years ago, formally, in this area. If I'm right and things are the way they are, is the safety of this country really worth one person's reputation? Really? Or would it be better? What if I'm wrong? The person isn't going to go to jail. They're just not allowed to blindly rule like a king. So, got to use those checks and balances. It's that whole, if I'm right or if I'm wrong, you got checking yourself and saying, okay, if I'm wrong about this, what's the worst possible thing that could happen? And if I'm right about this, what's the worst possible thing? And then going against the thing that does the least damage. I hope that someday that will, people will start kind of checking themselves that way.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't like, and Melissa and I, we're pretty much two opposite sides of the same coin. So
yeah,
we don't really.
That's what makes it work.
Right. And we really don't discuss politics on here.
Not a whole lot.
Oops.
But no,
yeah.
No. Well,
I broke the rule.
No, I let you say what you had to say. And that's what this show's about. And Melissa, right. That's what this network is about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A platform for everybody to speak their mind. I probably should have. I hate formatting my show. And Melissa brought you on, and I don't want a script or any guidelines or anything like that. I really wanted to stick more, because she was telling me that your personal story and business career story, except I don't have a degree, and I'm very respectable of you of accomplishing that, a master's degree, right?
I never finished my master's. I did my work. I was one semester off, and then quite honestly, I got so sick of being poor because I had lost my the scholarship. I had to work so many jobs. I remember throwing my briefcase across the room and went, I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it anymore.
That's the stuff I want to talk about. I don't want to delve into the political. I mean, everybody knows the situation of the country, and half of us
Well, they think they do.
half of us wrong. We don't know who's right or wrong, and we could debate that all day long. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I will say this: if I'm anything, I'm a libertarian, a Republican, and then Democrat. So I have all of those beliefs or ideologies politically in what's going on. So that might seem a safe place to be, but I can assure you it's not.
No, I guarantee there's no place safe now.
Exactly.
No place is safe.
Yeah, you could even put your head in the sand and you're still not safe.
That's still not safe. Exactly.
But
there's no safety anymore.
No, but Melissa and I got onto the subject of immigration. And of course, I've taken the conservative Republican stance, and she was taking the Democrat stance and whatever. And she said one thing to me that I did not know, which was a fact. And she totally...
Oh, that they had closed the doors for people that couldn't get into the country to turn... No. They had to come in the country to turn their papers?
No, that
close the locations?
That they can't apply for asylum at an embassy. They have to be on U.S. soil.
No.
Yeah, well,
right, and they closed those doors. They used to have them right at the doorway, and if you would go up to they had pictures of them. It was like the point of entry. How they always have the guards, and you can drive through with cars, or you could walk through with a gate. And there was a person there, and you could hand them your papers. They were kind of like a pseudo representative, sort of, kind of, but it was an official with immigration, and they closed those. The ones that were there on the actual border. So if you walked up, but yeah, they also closed all of them in the embassy. My cousin works for an embassy in a country I won't mention, but that's a verifiable fact. And then, you're not debating the marital status of the number 5. It's something that did these close? Yes or no? It's not a matter of opinion. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But there's a reason for it, and I don't understand it. But sometimes, have you ever heard of Machiavellianism, or Machiavelli wrote the book The Prince? It's a real short little book written in the it was medieval. I mean, it's been around since like 1700, before 1700s. Mm. It's real skinny little book, real skinny, like less than 100 pages. And he developed the concept of Machiavellianism, which is another marketing trick of, if I want people to not question me and I'm their leader, I make there's somebody else, them versus us mentality. Somebody else is evil and bad.
Yeah.
And so I make this other thing evil and bad, so everybody rallies to me because I'm going to protect them from the evil and bad. It's called Machiavellianism.
Hmm. Interesting.
It's been around. Again, he wrote the book called The Prince. They put it into modern English. It's kind of a chuckle nowadays if you look at when it was written and you give it a quick read. It's nice bathroom reading. Because it's that short of a book.
I'll have to buy that one. I've heard about it before, but I've never read it.
Yeah, that's where the phrase Machiavellianism came from, because the dude who wrote The Prince. He's kind of a jerk, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll love it. But yeah, we start businesses and get them going, and now I don't know. Now I'm having a hell of a lot of fun doing old things that I had done back in the, let me look at this plaque on my wall, because I just opened my office up. That's that background noise. It was 1987 is the first award I won. Back then I was a State Farm agent. And then I've got awards on the wall here from Northwest Mutual, where I won awards with them too. And it's amazing, but the people that I'm meeting and what they think they know is different. And the 80s were not that long ago.
No, and hopefully we don't repeat them.
We've definitely had some conversations about the 80s.
Well, that's when I first was, having to meet 14 to 20 different family units and household units to, compare their auto or homeowners insurance, to try to build a business, right? And you've got to go fast and hard. And I'm meeting lots and lots and lots of people. And you would hear basically the same things, and they would know certain things, and they understood basic concepts. And it wasn't a different socioeconomic group. It wasn't a different intellectual group. It was this, and I'm even in the same region of the country. But the education level on basic things has dropped like a rock since then. I didn't believe it until I'm actually here, hip deep in it. So now I'm spending my rest of my time trying to volunteer and give back, and I'll be holding seminars again soon. Just trying to get basic information. Like, guys, it's like they've all think that there's this magician in a box, and these things are either going to magically happen for some people and not magically for others. It's like, no. The reason you got to have car insurance is because if you accidentally slide through ice in a red light and can't get out, and that other family gets taken out and has $10,000 deductible, but they don't keep $10,000 in the bank. And, oh, by the way, they work at the local factory here where they don't have employees anymore. They hire their employees through employment agencies. And so there's no protection for them, and they're in the hospital for a few days. They lose their job. Now that family goes out. You have to have insurance money because that will help pay the medical bills and keep them on their feet and make them like they were before, because they didn't deserve to have their whole world thrown out because you ran a red light or because you slid through ice. That's why you have insurance. Now, how much do you have? Well, there's state minimum. Did you know that most insurance companies add a surcharge if you carry state minimums? And
No,
I wait for them to have their shock. Everybody has the same shock. And I say the reason is because more people that carry state minimums have accidents than people who don't. That's why.
Wow.
They live on the edge. Yep. So you think you're saving money, but you're not. Go up one level. Instead of the $2,550, go to the $5,100, and you won't get the surcharge. Now, if you're smart and you go to $100,000, $300,000, they actually give you a discount. Why? Because you care about them other people enough that you don't want to lose something. You've got skin in the game. You don't want to be sued and lose your house and lose your future earnings. So getting your coverages right isn't just a matter of making somebody rich and blah, 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 blah. It's protecting your ass. How much of your ass do you want to protect? Do you have an ass? Do you not have an ass? How do you want to do this? It's just trying to educate them. And in the past, I never had to worry about that. There were certain things. And the hardness, I think it's because people have to scrape to get by. They're having to work 2 and 3 jobs just to try to keep their head above water.
Well, see, that's what I was just about to ask was,
I see it all the time.
A lot of us can't afford more than the minimum.
Well, actually, because of I know it sounds stupid, they've commercialized it, but because of bundling, gotta love those commercials, it's actually oftentimes much less expensive per thousand. It's all, when I was an insurance agent started out, we didn't have, we had computers, but they were the size of most people's kitchens. The printer was the size of a huge closet. But we had a book and we had to do the math. So it was price per 1,000 units. So for however many units, and it's cheaper, it was easy at the time. I would just go to the top of the page and see, kind of like if you're going to go buy apples at the grocery store and you're trying to buy cheap on the cheap, you look and see how much the price per pound. So you know that if I'm paying less, if I'm buying a pound of apples and one is 25 cents a pound and the other is 35 cents a pound, hell, I'm going for the 25 cents a pound if I like that kind of apple.
Well, yeah.
Right? Well, it's the same thing with insurance, the price per 1,000, the unit measure. So the price per 1,000 is cheaper on certain bandings of insurance, whether it's life insurance, homeowners insurance, and each insurance company has their sweet spot. So you just have to, and you have to, first of all, you got to know you've got somebody that you trust that's not trying to rip you off. Something I found that all people need to be aware of is agents that when you've had one insurance company for a couple of years, and let's say they're independent and they call you up and say, hey, I found a better company for you that's cheaper. and you're only halfway paying attention, and the price may be $1 different. The reason they're moving you to another company, their commission structure just changed. They get commissioned a certain way for the first so many years, and then after that it drops off to very little. So what do? They switch you to another company to start you back on that track. It's got nothing to do with it being a good company and your coverage is being better. Oh, yeah. And here's another one, 0 paid claims. Let's say you have a house, okay, and you don't know anything about insurance. Shoot, that's not what your education is in, okay? So you call your insurance agent you've had for a million years and say, hey, I don't know if this is covered on my homeowner's insurance. Is that something that's covered on the homeowner's insurance? Well, most agents' offices, because there's no one individual agent. I have a team. I own an office, and I have a team of people. So the people that answer the phones, those are your customer service reps usually, they'll answer the phone, and they are trained. If someone asks about a claim, it's called open a claim. So they hit the claim button, and they start putting information, and they hit whatever, even if it was just an inquiry. What happens is there's this big thing called CLUE. I do not know what it stands for. I knew it to take my test. Can't remember now. CLUE. And it is this magical database in the sky of insurance stuff, info that only insurance agents and insurance companies and people have the ability to look at CLUE can get into it. Kind of like running your MVR, your motor vehicle record. Well, this shows if there's been a claim. If you've had a claim in the last 3 different companies, different spans of time, year, 3 years, and 5 years, or 7 years. If you have had a claim, you get dinged. If you go to, let's say you want to go to a new homeowner's insurance company, so you're pricing. I run your CLUE report. If it shows you've had a claim in 3 years, they added a $100 surcharge. Because if you've had a claim in the past, you're bound to have another claim relatively soon. Claims tend to bundle. Well, what if your claim was a 0 paid claim? What that means is a claim was opened, but the insurance company never paid any money. Because either there was no claim put in because there really wasn't one, it was a question, or they didn't owe any money. They still surcharge you. Now, why would insurance agents do that to people? Because it keeps you with them for another 2 to 3 years, because if you go to get a comparison quote for price, you just got surcharged. See the trick?
Oh, wow. I didn't know
I
they
ran
did
into that 6 times in a row the first 3 months. So I started just exposing it. I would just turn around and ask the person, did you have and 2 of them were personal friends of mine. I said, did you have a claim on your house? I thought you just bought the house. This one particular lady. And she's a nurse, so she doesn't know about these things. She said, well, when I bought it, that's my sump pump, or my septic pump in the back, because she's on a farm, was making a funny noise. So I just called the insurance agent because I knew I bought something to protect equipment, but I didn't know if it was my house or some warranty, so I just called my insurance agent because I figured he'd tell me. Okay. So what they did is they opened a claim on her, and all she had done, because I said the date, and long story short, she called him in July to ask, is that covered? The girl that answered the phone, the office worker, opened up a claim. The client had no idea. And because nothing paid out. So when I go to quote her insurance, I'm $150 more expensive than the competitor.
Because of that fake claim.
And I looked and said, why is she surcharged? It was a claim. And they said, no, it's a 0 paid claim. I'm like, hold on a minute. Now, legally, it's perfectly legal. In my mind, it's morally wrong. So in our office, all of my people are trained. You do not open a claim on anyone until you ask the question, would you like for me to open a claim and have that checked for you or not? And then you advise them of what the policy is and et cetera, so we don't have that.
That's insane.
Yep.
That's reality. Reality. How about life insurance? Life insurance. People like to think it's a scam, like it's this or that and the other thing. Well, with life insurance, you hear Susie Ormond, who, by the way, now she may have gotten it since then, but back in the 80s and 90s when she was all that, she got into trouble because she was giving information and advice, and she was not licensed to do so. Kind of like a doctor without having a medical license. So she used to tell everybody you don't need insurance. Insurance is a ripoff. You don't need it. And I used to think, what the hell? So what? People's houses don't burn down? Then what are they going to do? Or you need the bare bones minimum. What? She used to say, don't do whatever and was it something and invest the rest. And nobody ever did do the investments. And investments goes up and down. Investments aren't what you use. First, you need to look at life insurance as, if I get hit by a Mack truck tomorrow, how is my significant other or my parents or whatever first going to put me in the ground? Second, how are they going to keep paying the bills? You know, like the electric bill that comes in every 30 days or the house payment. I hear people every day, oh, she'll be able to sell the house in no time flat. And I'm like, okay, so where's she and the kids going to live? You do realize now they're trying to figure out how to live without you. So how fast do you need her to go put a for sale sign on her neck and stand on a street corner? You know, the electric bills due every 30 days. Oh, well, I got insurance through work. Oh, I love that. If they're lucky enough that they do, which 9 times out of 10 they think they do, but they don't, when they leave the job, the insurance goes with them. And then they're either older, sicker, or whatever, and more or unable to get it. If your doctor's records, every time you go to your doctor and you tell them every single thing and they write it all down, you better make sure that those records are accurate, because when an insurance company has to go back and all they see is that you still take an antibiotic and a steroid because you had bronchitis and had to kick the antibiotic in, and on and on and on, and it looks like you're on 7 pills when you're really on 1, because doctors don't know, but insurance companies base the rate they charge you on that crap. And if you were out at a wedding and had a celebratory cigar or a cigarette once, and you're not a smoker, but you may have one, I don't know, a year at a wedding or something, and you mention it to the doctor, they'll mark you down as a smoker. Well, when you go to do the insurance paperwork, even if you're telling the truth, and they go to check your medical records and it's got in there that you're a smoker, you're going to get surcharged or declined because you weren't telling the truth.
Oh, wow.
People don't understand the information that is written down on them is only from the perspective of the professional who's writing it. And professions don't always cross nicely, because what a doctor thinks is one thing, but what a bean counter for whether you're going to, you know, 1 foot in the grave and the other in a banana peel, you know, how soon you're going to meet the Grim Reaper, that's how they base their rates. It's not that hard and it's not that complicated. It's also not that expensive. But I see too many times, it's because here, now that I moved back home, those GoFundMe things,
Oh,
a family member of a very good friend committed suicide a month ago. And I didn't realize that it was a suicide, and I saw a GoFundMe. So I texted the family member and said, hey, what's going on? Did they not have enough insurance? And she said, well, he's had 2 small children. And I said, thus my question, was there not enough insurance? And she said, well, he had some. So I come to find out he had enough to put him in the ground.
which
Now,
I think is
he
the
had
case
had
for
that-
most people.
Yes, yeah. It takes $10,000 to $15,000, and it's more than just burying you. A lot of people, like the kids I bought the house from at the sheriff's auction, when it went up, the dad was 42 years old, got up, went to go make himself a cup of coffee, and never got to drink it. He had a Widowmaker right there in the kitchen. Loving father who it was a truck driver, and his off hours, he was a volunteer auxiliary sheriff's deputy for the county. Everybody loved him, but he died
got
at
a
age
hell of a
42,
deal
no
on
matter
that
how
place,
much he was
too.
loved. Yeah, I did. And I tried to give the money to the kids, but the kids didn't trust me, didn't know me, even though I grew up there, and their cousin went to kindergarten with me, knew me for 56 years. And I ended up, they wouldn't take my advice. And so it ended up going to sheriff's auction, and Wachovia Bank got all, or not Wachovia, what is it now? Wells Fargo got all the money, and the kids didn't get anything.
What a
Oh,
shock.
man.
Yeah, I try to explain this to people. When someone passes, this is probably the best thing I could give to anyone. When someone passes, if they are married, it's called pass-through. All of the crapola, if you will, passes through. They don't have to worry as much about going to court and all of the probate and all of that stuff, okay? It's when the last one dies. And so that means, well, it's not your spouse because your spouse has died before you. They're already dead. Now you're the dead one. That means your kids are the ones left behind. And when they're 7, 14, 18, and just finished boot camp in the Navy, however old you are when you volunteer for the Navy right after you graduate from high school, you don't know a lot. And they had no money, literally no money. So what ended up happening? The house went back into foreclosure on a $10,000 loan.
Oh, man.
And the kids were booted out. And the cousin took them in. He's got rental properties. He stuck them all in there. And the family came in and helped them. But they did not have the money nor the knowledge that they had to go open. They had to go to probate and open the estate so they could close the estate, because you have to declare the person dead before you can sell the property. So they did, long story short, they didn't have the $150 that it took to retain the attorney, the $50 to pay for the court cost, because here it's really expensive. And they were so embarrassed, they didn't tell the rest of the extended family. I'm the one that told them, because when they pulled the house off of sheriff's auction, the day of, I go there ready to go to auction, and they pulled it. I had to find out why, and they told me because we can't sell the house of a dead man. We have to go to the estate to prove it. I went to the attorney and said, what's going on? He says, I can't tell you specifically, but, if you don't have $50 to go down to the courthouse, you don't sign the papers, then you usually don't do it. So all it took was $50. I mean, the money, people say, I have a savings account. If you do not have the name of all the people that will be alive that you want to take care of it when you're dead, they can't get to the bank account, because they have to declare them dead and get a death certificate. That can take 6 weeks in some places.
Wow.
What are they supposed to eat on? I mean, unless you've been through it, you don't know. Now, life insurance bypasses probate. It bypasses everything. And if you've got a good, reputable company that does their underwriting on the front end, you can have a check with you as soon as you notify the insurance company within a week or two. So it just depends on one is not the same as the other. They're all not scams. They're all not bad people. We have a sign over my door that says, may all who enter these doors leave better protected, better knowing how to protect what they love. I had to go read my sign. Yeah. So best thing, if you got a bank account, have them or find an attorney. They'll do it for free. Ask somebody, they'll know. Have everybody listed. If somebody dies, grab your tissues and head to the bank and empty out the accounts that your name is on before the person at the bank finds out there's a death and shuts it down. I mean, there's just
that's a really good tip,
things.
Actually.
It is.
Oh, if you only knew how many times a day. That's how it works. There's a lot of things people can do to protect themselves, and we used to know this. I don't know if we missed a generation and the one generation didn't teach the rest of them. I'm not sure what happened. But I'm trying to get something here at the schools where kind of like basic family finances, and it's not high finance. It's why you have to have owner's insurance, what your deductible is, what's your copay, what are your rights as a client, read the information. And if it's complicated and they use big words, make them tell you what it is in real English.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Oh, hell no.
The only stupid question is the one never asked.
Exactly. Especially if the person who's talking to you has to have, like me, I have 4 licenses. If I have to have a bunch of licenses and I forgot how to speak normal English, then I need a reminder when my client looks at me and says, I do not know what you just told me. That's on me. That's my bad.
Yeah.
I need to be able to tell. Maybe that's why I'm such a straight talker, because pussyfooting around just confuses people. And when they know exactly what the hell you mean and they know that you care, then they know you got their back when the times are down.
Perfect.
But if you don't know your insurance agent or you don't like them, go find one that you do. They're a dime a dozen.
All right, great. That's all great. I have to end the show, ladies. I got to get to work. So.
Yay!
Yeah. Yay, did I get to work or end the show? Okay.
Thanks for coming on, Anita.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Sorry for throwing off the day, but I had fun.
That's all that matters. So, Yeah, but thanks for
Well, I kind of like other people to have fun too.
yeah, and I appreciate it. And that's what this is all about, the show and this network. So thank you very much for
And thanks for having the network. Thank you so much for having it. We need more things like this.
Yes, we do. All right. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Whoa. Wow. We got to stay off politics.
Yeah.
Wow. I saw it was coming. It was running, and I didn't say nothing. But I'm not gonna stop people from talking. I don't think that would be appropriate.
Well, no, and just because we have differences of opinion of politics and who's in office and all that kind of stuff, it's all stuff that we actually need to have those conversations sometimes.
Right.
I was really wanting it to stay more on business, but
Yeah.
it happened.
And that's what I wanted to, but she got on a roll, and I'm not gonna steer it, but I don't know. I think we're gonna have to make an agreement on boundaries of political turning discussions and topics into politics, because I don't really. I'll let a conversation go anywhere, but that just that was a little too far. So, but that's okay. So, but anyway, all right. So, I want to thank everybody for listening to the show, and very interesting. She finally started getting into the stuff. Maybe we can have her back on if we just stick to. I wanted to know her story and the financial challenges and being a woman and overcoming all that and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, we'll do that next time.
The geopolitical things and politics here, because that's just that's been beaten with the dead horse. I just don't really want to do it anymore. There's other shows for that. So
yeah,
but specific topics like you and I stumble on all day long, but I don't want a whole big dissertation of throwing current former presidents and everything else and under the bus. I just don't want to do that. So, that's why I got off Facebook, actually. So one of the reasons I'm like, oh my God, really? Give it a break. So. All right. Well, I'm gonna let everybody go. Thanks, Pamela. Thanks, Bill. I know some people dropped out, so because they heard the bashing of whatever. Like, is this an anti-Trump show? No.
No, it just came up, and one of the things is, we have very passionate people, and just like you say at the beginning of every show, even our guests are opinionated.
That's right. And I got to keep my word. And if there is a format or platform, that's it. So, and I did. I kept my word. I let her go. I let her say whatever she wanted to, and I don't let people do that. But I think, like I said, down the road when it goes too far, I'm gonna have to pull people back. It's like stick to what we want to talk about, which was, like I said in the beginning. So, but we can have her back on maybe and go down that road. So
yeah, because she really does have a very fascinating career history.
Well, and that's what I wanted to hear. So I wanted to inspire people, not not on the political platform soapbox and all that, because that's although you can, I mean, I can have a show for that if you're a liberal Democrat or a conservative Republican or independent or whatever. Yeah. But it was not the show for that.
Well, she thinks she really pissed you off.
She thinks that?
Anita, she texted me. She apologized.
No. No, you know what? One thing I respect her about, she does speak her mind.
Oh, very much so.
She didn't piss me off. It's just that it's like I said, going down that road and throwing mud at political figures is not the intention of the show by any means. And in networks, Fox, CNN, once again, like I agreed upon, it's two wings of the same bird.
Right.
So it's like, I don't agree with everything what Fox says. I don't agree with everything that CNN says. I don't agree with anybody that anything says. But to specifically throw Fox under the bus, I mean, hey, that's her right, and that's her perspective, and she's got a higher level of education than me. So who am I to, who am I to argue? I'm not going to argue with people. It's not why I came on here. I'm not going to try to tell them they're wrong, or you're not thinking about it, or you're being tribal or whatever. So no, she didn't upset me. I think she upset some other people, but if you're upset about talking about this or listening to it, then you're just on the wrong side of everything, actually. So you got to look from the outside, not being in it and siding on it. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
I will say that. So, but no, I'm not upset. She finally started getting, like I said, into some things that everybody could relate to,
Right.
and things like that. And I'm not licensed, but I know some things about insurance because I read a few books about it and being a business owner and blah 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 blah. And you know, I would have reflected or put my opinion on that too. And that's where I wanted to go to, but it went down the rabbit hole way too fast. So, yeah, I just let her go. Let her go. So,
I absolutely love Anita. Like I said, she's my sister from another mister. But yeah, she's very, very passionate.
yeah, and I was just going to say that, and I am too, and so are you.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I will never try to stifle or subdue someone's passion because that's who they are. So
Yeah.
a lot more people that need to be like that instead of submissive. So
Oh yeah.
I mean, I didn't agree with hardly anything she said, but that's me. So and it's
Yeah,
but
that's one of the wonderful things about the
Right.
US and about our network is that we all have differences of opinion.
right. I mean, I'm sure some people were shaking their head up and down, and some of them were shaking them left and right. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever, but this is not the show for that. I don't come on here. Neither one of us have come on here, to my recollection, and forced our political opinions on anybody's throat.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then I don't want that. I maybe I should set one rule. So having no rules, because after that one, that I don't want anybody coming on here. Not that she did, but being interpreted as a Trump hater or disrespectful. It's just like, what? It's all a big mess.
It really is. Our country's in a political mess right now,
Right.
and
Right.
and we all get very passionate about our sides, and it happens.
So the people who were offended or dropped out or whatever are going to watch this again. It's not. There's no intention to offend you. So
No.
you need to open your mind a little bit, step back, and just listen to what people are saying, and then you can go, you know what? It's a good point. I agree with it, or it's not a good point. I don't agree with it. Blah 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 blah, and leave it at that. But I don't want this turning into a commentary or opinion, like Sean Hannity or Rachel
Oh
Maddow
no.
or whatever. I don't want any of that. It's not what
No.
this is about. There's plenty of other shows on other networks, for that matter, that have that platform. So.
Yeah.
So this will be a show to be remembered. So it's like, oh my god!
Well, and honestly, this is the first time we've actually had somebody on who is very passionate politically.
Right. But I wouldn't let a Trump, an Obama hater, and a Clinton hater, and whatever,
Yeah.
Hillary hater come on here and say that shit either. Although now I'm going to have to because I let her. So fair is fair. But I don't want that because
Yeah.
regardless, I mean, hate is hate, and there was not some very nice things said.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's only going to drag us all down deeper into a level that we don't want to go to. But I just don't. It'll all work out. Let's all just vote. You believe in what you believe in. You believe the lies, whatever those are, and try to figure out the truth and vote by your conscience and your morals and your ethics, and then that's it. Let's move on. That's all. That's all I could really say when it comes to politics. So
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and leave it. But the name calling and the pussy grabber, and I go, well, Clinton loved his blowjobs, So what does that do? What blow for blow?
Oh, there's people on both sides of the aisle that
Right. So
are corrupt and that treat women like crap, and
right.
Right,
Exactly. The basic management 101 is it a problem or a symptom? And all we keep looking at is the symptoms by all their behavior, all what they do, all the lies they're doing. when the problem is they're all a bunch of fucking liars. Most of them, if not all, are psychopaths, narcissists, and probably a couple sociopaths in
Oh
there.
yeah, you got to be to think you can run the country.
Exactly. And that's the problem. There's no unity. There's no she was saying how Twitter liberated and I wish she was here to comment because I don't want her thinking I'm talking behind her back. I mean, I say I'm not. But I let her go. I let her run. So now I'm
Yeah.
gonna say a few things. But we need our liberation, our freedom, and our liberties and our rights back. And she said that Twitter did that with Egypt and some other things by people
Yeah.
just speaking their mind or against their government, which is what it's all about.
Yeah.
So,
Which I'm going to look into that whole Twitter revolution. That's how it's actually listed, is as a Twitter revolution.
yeah, that fascinates me. I wish you would have elaborated more on that, but then I went, right to the White House. So it's like, or the Russians. Or the Russians, you know what? I really want to do my homework on that because she's a few years older than me. And yeah, most people don't even realize that Russia was USSR.
Right. And they don't realize the amount of marketing control that outside influences actually do have on us.
Yeah, marketing control or / propaganda. I really
Yeah.
the difference between the two, but
Well, yeah, but propaganda is nothing but marketing in my.
right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and that's all we're all lied to, smoke blowing up our ass just to divide and make you pick a side. And
Yeah.
I don't
Best
like
way to stay in control is to keep everybody fighting.
right. And I don't want to see anything more destroyed, especially my own personal life's been destroyed from things like that. And I don't want to see it anymore. I want to heal and move on and figure this shit out and have like I said before, conversations and discussions about this. You can't be closed minded and come on here and rant. I mean, if I came out here and ranted about everything what I really thought, and I mean, people like,
oh, you and I would be having some good arguments.
Right. And where's that going to take us? Nowhere.
No.
So anyway. All right. So I really got to go. I'm going to be late again, but that's okay. Thanks to Bill, Pamela, who's all in here. Where's Wandering American?
She didn't pop in this morning, actually.
Oh, sure. I hope she goes on to Ron's show because I was listening to Ron and very interesting, and she would fit right in there.
Oh yeah, I talked to Ron about her yesterday.
Perfect. She would fit right in that show.
Yep.
So, and thanks to everybody else in the chat room. I really got to go. Thanks for listening. Thanks if you stay through the whole conversation. That's great too. But hopefully we can have her back on and stick to more specific financial challenges and then advice. And all I kept hearing was, this is what you need to do. This is what you should do. I want to know how she got there, and I want to know how other people got there, and then what you're going to do to resolve that. That's what.
Well, yeah, and especially for those of us who are rebuilding and don't have all that extra cash, just like the whole insurance thing, the car insurance thing of getting discounts the better package you pick.
Yep.
Well, what if you can't afford that package?
Exactly.
Then how do you get around it? Yeah, I would love to actually talk about those things next time.
Well, hopefully we can have her on in a little bit, and you can I don't know, you can say whatever you want, but you can say, I'm not going to tell you what to say. I never would, but just stick to that stuff, and it would be great because that's what people need to know.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely.
He has 4 licenses, so who better to say than her? So.
Oh yeah, and I was quote unquote by her side when she was going through getting all her licenses again too.
Oh, when she was doing the good things. Oh, that's good. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. I thought you were going to say you were with her when she was going through all the bad shit.
Oh no, I was with her through that too.
Oh, okay. So you've seen the whole thing then.
Oh yeah. She just moved to Ohio from South Carolina, which was when she had her split with her last husband a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I was with her through all of that.
Yeah, one more thing in a quick, because the chat room got me hooked again. Everybody's talking about the Dow. I guess it dropped like 1,100 points yesterday or something.
Oh yeah, it when the bell rang yesterday, it was down over 900.
Yeah, I don't know if the market. I think the market might be open. I don't know. I was looking; it wasn't open yet because people were chatting about it. But see, this reminds me of '08 again, because they said it's only happened in three times in the history of the stock market. And I'll bet your ass it was right around '08 that it did, because I remember one day it went down over 900 points, and it might have been more.
Yeah. Have you watched any more of Black Monday?
No, I'm still trying to get through the DC Legends of Tomorrow, and then I'll jump into the other stuff.
New season is starting soon.
The Dow's up 52 points. That's what it's.
Oh, at least it's up this morning.
Yeah, but I well, I don't know. There was on that side of the trade, there wasn't a lot of buyers coming in, and that's not good. So, but whatever. And we'll just watch. But
Yeah.
that's a red flag for me back in '08, and I was watching it and I was paying attention. And yeah, $900, $1,000 drops are not good, but we'll see.
Closed 1,000 points down.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah. Thanks, Pam. All right. Well, again, thanks everybody in the chat room. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. And I thank everybody for listening and share the show. So you want to say good night, Gracie?
Good night, Gracie. Good morning, Gracie. And that was George Burns, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Gracie was his wife.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now I remember.
And you can thank Pamela for that one too.
Thanks, Pamela. Yeah. He said that all the time.
Yes.
Oh my God, I forgot.
Say good night, Gracie.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the morning. And thanks for listening and share the show. You have been listening to the original Red Pill Show. Bye.